It's another big game in the battle for top spot in National League One as the Celtic Crusaders take on the Widnes Vikings here at Brewery Field in Bridgend, with to go joint top of the table. And this is how that National League One table looks at the moment, with Halifax out in front only by a point from Salford City Reds. Those two meet this weekend in what should be a big game. Widnes Vikings down in 6th place, they've moved up there from 9th. Celtic Crusaders well poised in 3rd in the table. But Celtic have injury problems going into this game, probably the worst injury problems they've had all season. Darren Mapp, a late withdrawal from their side today. Aled James, once of Widnes, brought into the Crusaders starting lineup. It's Duggan at full-back, Paul Ballard, Aled James wears 3, Mark Dalcourt, Anthony Blackwood, Damien Quinn, who captains the side in the absence of Jace van Dijk, Mark Lennon wears 7. In the forwards, Jordan James and Ian Webster and Aaron Summers, ex-Widnesians in the front row, Chris Beasley, Jamie Ianson and Luke Dyer at loose forward. On the bench, Neil Budworth, Neil Wyatt returns for the Crusaders, that is a boost for them. Ben Flower and David Tangatatoa. The coach is John Dixon, recently named the new Welsh national coach. The Widnes Vikings, of course, on a high after their dramatic win over Salford City Reds last time out, have Ian Hardman at fullback, Dean Gaskell, Steve Tyrer, Chris Dean, Gavin Dodd, John Duffy and Matty Smith. In the forwards, Ian Morrison, Bob Bezic, Jim Gannon, Richard Fletcher, Paul Noon and Lee Patterson. And on the bench, Steve Roper, Danny Hill, Jason Crooks and Ben Kavanagh. Just the one change then, Hill coming in place of Adel Fallouz, who's with the French squad. The coach is Steve McCormack. Well, it's a rainy old night here at Brewery Field, but another good crowd for the Celtic Crusaders on their own patch. And against a Widnes side that they've beaten twice already this season, so they'll be looking forward to making it a hat-trick. But with those injury problems, this Widnes side probably, Phil, will fancy their chances.
Well, they're going to the game high on confidence. The fact that they finished so strongly last week against Salford. When you finish a game in the final quarter and are the dominant side, you tend to carry that over. I've no doubt they've had a good week's preparation. And they come down here, I think, aware of the fact that generally matches here in Bridgend are fast and furious. Although the pitch is well covered in grass, it is incredibly firm, which suits the speedsters on both sides. And we tend to see good ball movement and some scintillating tries whenever we're here.
Well, Widnes won't need reminding that the last time they were here, the result was a resounding Celtic Crusaders win by 50 points to 18. That was in a Northern Rail quarter-final on May the 24th. But you get a feeling that it's going to be a lot closer than that here this evening.
I think the kicking game is going to be important. On conditions like this, the ball is very slippy. You need to be good in contact, you need to find that flow and start that momentum. You know, sometimes one win can generate enough momentum in a club to carry through to the next week. Widnes will be hoping that's the case this week. For 20 minutes in that second half against Salford, they were unstoppable, and they'll be hoping to carry that through again to this week.
And the conditions are pretty miserable. It's got greyer and wetter as the day has worn on. John Duffy there looking like a drowned rat already. The referee Thierry Alibert from France, still over here at the moment, gaining more experience, refereeing every week. And in fact, he refereed the game between Wales and PNG on this ground last October. Wales winning that one 50 points to 10, and it's the 3rd time he's refereed Celtic Crusaders this season. He's done them against Whitehaven and also against Widnes. And Thierry Alibert gets this game underway with Widnes kicking off into the hands of Tony Duggan and Jamie Ianson taking that ball up. First touch for the Celtic Crusaders. A bit of a debate for the Celtic coach John Dixon as to what his starting lineup would be. And at one stage, Luke Dyer was in the centres and Neil Wyatt was at loose forward. But Wyatt, only just back from injury, is on the bench, and young Aled James gets a start against his former club. And there's Chris Beasley. He was another doubt for this Celtic side, and a big hit on him from Richard Fletcher, who himself was a bit of a doubt for the Widnes side. And a quick turnaround for John Dixon's side. They played Dewsbury, of course, on Sunday. Won that one, but it was a tough old game, and they've not had a long to turn around and prepare for this one. They have, in fact, had a couple of days off in the build-up to this game. The kick from Lennon too strong. Tap 20 for Widnes to restart, and Gavin Dodd takes it up.
Very direct approach, wasn't it? And a conservative one from the Crusaders. Simple one-out carries. I think with the emphasis, if you don't carry the ball in that set, you put your effort into the chase of the kick. Unfortunately, it went too far for the Celtic teammates.
Morrison plays the ball for the Widnes Vikings, and Jim Gannon cut down on the halfway line. The tackle by Dyer. Janssen in there to make the tackle on Bob Bezic, the Vikings captain. Mark Smith, of course, still out injured with that elbow problem. Now here's Matty Smith, and he really did get better and better for his new side as the game went on against Salford. And Celtic bring the ball back with Paul Ballard. Ballard has lost it. It's gone backwards, or went forwards first, says Thierry Alibert, and that'll be head and feet to Widnes, I suspect. Well,
I would have thought Richard Fletcher rips the ball out with his right hand. We can't see from the back. There are two men in the tackle. No, he seems to be trying to get the ball free to Tony Duggan, the number one. And it's a great opportunity there. Under pressure, that's what tonight will be about. Wingers and fullbacks dealing with the pressure in these conditions.
Chemics, Vikings, I should say, head and feet. Turning the clock back there. And from that scrum, they are already on the attack, and it's Paul Noon with a little step to get past the first defender, who was Dyer. Bezic fires the pass to Morrison. Morrison standing still when he took that one, and he's virtually back where he started. 2 feet. Janssen again in with the tackle. Matty Smith trying to weave his way through. Duffy puts a little kick in. It's a good one. Oof, and Ballard needed a couple of touches to get that one under control. And Steve McCormack obviously sending out the instructions. Let's have a bit more of that.
Well, you see here just how difficult it's going to be to move the ball around. There hasn't been more than one pass in any single play so far. It's been simple one-out runs. Defence coming up pretty quick. But moving the ball to players out wide is going to be more difficult than what the pictures actually show.
Gaskell taking no chances with that one, trapping it with his boot and then across the field. Losing ground, in fact, Dean Gaskell. Morrison, as ever, a willing worker at the coal face for the Viking side. And then Gannon, his front row colleague, and Gannon still going. Makes a few yards there. Just outside the 20, Bezic, Duffy, Hardman involved in the action, and Hardman, oh, if he could have got that ball away to Smith. Matty Smith would have been in. Hardman couldn't make the pass, but they're still in a great position here. Duffy manages to get the ball away. They've got a man out wide. It's Gavin Dodd. Dodd back in field, but the pass was forward. Little word from the touch judge there to Thierry Alibert, and a let-off Lee Patterson's pass, I think it was.
Well, that just forward to Gavin Dodd. Great play by Widnes. Tested the Celtic defence in the middle and almost went through to score with Hardman. Then shifted the ball wide. And the referees, according to the judges, the pass slightly forward. Nice opening there from the Widnes Vikings.
So an illustration just in that first attacking set, really, from Widnes Vikings, how difficult the conditions are going to be here. The rain's still falling. Jordan James. 3 of them to stop the former Widnes player. James plays the ball. Duggan. Damien Quinn. Quinn, who's been a virtual ever-present since he signed from Toowoomba 3 years ago. And a big reception committee there for Aaron Summers.
The Widnes players know Aaron Summers, his leg drive on contact, always finds his front, a good body angle and a good quick play of the ball.
Patterson's charged down now. Duggan has got Patterson and Matty Smith breathing down his neck, but Duggan gets away with it and gets away from Matty Smith. No, he doesn't. Smith gets a hold of him. Come here! He wasn't going to let him get away.
Well, great to see the effort from the kick chase pressure here by Patterson. He gets up high on the ball, but Duggan beats him to it. Okay, and the ball's free again. Good tackle by Noon this time.
Jamie Janssen has lost it, and it's popped up for Christine. So Widnes again getting possession, and Morrison straight up the middle. Another Celtic mistake, another opportunity for the Widnes Vikings. Duffy, oh, and then the ball and Stephen Tyra don't meet up.
You're going to see a bit of trial and error in this game with footwork, with tackling, with passes. We need short, soft passes. Conditions like this, a bullet pass into... To be fair, Tyra's running on a good line and it needs to be accurate, but again, soft hands in these conditions, otherwise it'll just bounce off your chest. I was going to make the point about footwork as well. When you're running it up, you'll see a lot of shots tonight, you'll see a lot of drop balls because players don't trust the footwork, they'll just run straight and hard.
So that's a couple of let-offs for the Celtic Crusaders already. A good positive start from the Widnes Vikings. Blackwood doing well to get away from the attentions of Paul Noon there.
Well, it's still early in the game, Bill, but the Widnes number 9, Bob Bezic, looks a class above everybody else. He's the one who's creating so much problems for the Celtic side. When Widnes are in possession, he's dangerous, puts the ball in two hands, has runners going into the holes, and that's going to be the key battle centre field tonight.
Just on the halfway line, the Celtic Crusaders. And that's the 5th tackle. Needs to be a good kick. It's not a good kick, but they get away with it. And play on. They were looking at Thierry Alibert to see if he'd give him another set of 6. Nothing doing. And so Quinn it is who puts the kick in. Everybody stood and watched there, including the Widnes players for a moment, wondering what was going on. And that kick actually turns out to be not a bad one.
That's good strength there from Dean Gaskell. You don't always realise what problems a player like that. He makes people account for them. It's not up to one defender, 2 defenders, it needs 3 players. We see the charge down again. Just kicks the ball before. Should have been back to 6, that I think.
First penalty of the game goes against the Celtic Crusaders. Offside against the Welsh team. And that's another opportunity for Widnes to march up the field towards the halfway line. Actually on the halfway line. Here is Richard Fletcher. Fletcher gets away from Beasley's tackle, but Quinn is there, and another penalty, more interference. Quinn again, who was the culprit. So Celtic Crusaders under a bit of pressure here. Tyra, this time he keeps a hold of that one.
You very often see him in league penalty try as a sequence of play. The goal line defence now for the Celtic side under massive pressure.
Tyra's got a problem. He's limped away from that tackle in the backfield. But Widnes still on the attack with Patterson. Hardman now. Good defence from the Celtic Crusaders that time to stop Chris Dean, but here they come again with Morrison, and Morrison once more making inroads. Plays the ball. Bezic looking to go himself. Appeals for obstruction there from the Crusader supporters. That's the 5th tackle, right on the line. Will it be a good kick from Matty Smith? Well, it's a teasing one. Blackwood's gone up for it. He was held there, I think.
Well, it has to be offside, I think. Player who ends up in possession is given a knock on. Blackwood got up. I think defensively they look so strong, have players in the right position. Good kick by Smith into the corner, but Blackwood throws the right arm. It seemed to go backwards in the first instance, and then it's picked up. Either way, Widnes get another great opportunity. Scrum's 10 metre out.
It's all Widnes at the moment. Surely they're going to get across this try line as the rain just cranks up a gear. Fletcher driving for the line himself, Richard Fletcher. He stopped just short. They've got options left and right. Pass fired out by Bezic to Smith, to Patterson. Patterson back on the inside to Chris Dean, but Celtic there to meet him with strength. You saw that one coming. Patterson, Smith, Ian Morrison, can't get through. 4 tackles gone. Bezic, Gannon, nothing doing for Gannon. Well, this is going to be energy sapping for this Celtic Crusaders side, because Widnes really are putting the hammer in. The kick is a strong one, and it's too strong over everybody's head, and it'll be a tap on the 20.
Well, relief and probably the reward that Celtic deserves here for some outstanding goal line defence, good commitment, great organisation, and they've seen off a threat on the far side with a kick, now here on the right-hand side as well.
Aled James plays the ball. Blackwood can't make any yards for his side. Celtic really struggling to make any headway at the moment against this really confident-looking Widnes side. And here goes a great sniping run from Webster. Webster, good break from him. 4 tackles gone. Summers just looking for his former teammates, and there are 4 of them to meet him there. That's the 5th tackle. Now the kicks haven't been good from this Celtic Crusaders side. Need a better one now. They're running it in actual fact, and then Blackwood puts the kick in, but it's well dealt with by Ian Hardman.
Outstanding play by the Celtic side there. Shifted the ball, Grubber kicked in all time, and Hardman had little option. That he had to secure possession and then slid over the sideline.
So Celtic get head and feed, and that's good work from Blackwood. Well, the tables are turned, and again the slippery surface contributing to Widnes being in this situation.
We're fascinated to see how the Celtic side utilise this scrum option here. Will there be more enterprise in the attack?
Well, that's their inclination, that's their nature. Dyer running from deep. Oh, thundering challenge in on him from Richard Fletcher. Dyer, though, gets to his feet to play the ball. Dalcourt looking to use his strength. This is the first threat on the Widnes Vikings line. Lennon now. Lennon went himself. No joy for Lennon as Noon makes the tackle. Blackwood fancies it, and Blackwood is over the try line. And Anthony Blackwood has, I don't think, got that ball down. And it's going to be a decision for video ref Ray Tennant to see whether Anthony Blackwood got that ball down in a mass of bodies. Thierry Alibert didn't get a good view of it, so did the video ref.
Well, the Celtic side have shown that sometimes it's the simplest way that gets you over the line, but does it get the ball down, and does he get the 4 points for his teammates? Initial impressions are yes. Probably you'd have to give him the benefit of the doubt that some part of that ball has touched the grass.
Well, both sides
don't think he loses possession. There's a slight movement of the ball between his arms. Does he go from his left arm to his right?
Both sides seem to have accepted the fact that it is a try, and as signalled by Thierry Alibert. So what a transformation in fortunes. Celtic Crusaders really under the cosh early on, and then John Dixon's side, with their first decent kick of the game, put Widnes under pressure, and Anthony Blackwood, more used to scoring typical wingers tries. Well, this was a hooker's try.
Well, tonight more than more, so it's going to be about field position. We're really going to see long-range efforts, but when you get close to your line, you either need some skill, some initiative, or some sheer determination to get you over the line. That's what Blackwood had. It's given his side the first 4 points this game.
And then Mark Lennon with the boot. His 57th success of the season has kicked Celtic into a 6-0 lead.
An excellent kick really by Mark Dalcourt, where they shifted the wide, drew the ball up, and then over the sideline he went. That gave them the field position. Then it just came down to that simple determination, show and go, and pump those legs to get over the line.
So Anthony Blackwood with his 8th try of the season, having another good try-scoring season. He got 14 for the Celtic Crusaders last season, the former Halifax man, and going well this season as well. So Celtic ahead, but these conditions are curbing their style, shall we say. They got 50-odd points against Widnes here, of course, in that Northern Rail quarter-final, but tonight isn't a night for flamboyant footy. Penalty against Widnes. They're offside, I think. Well, not square, says Thierry Alibert. News from the sidelines. Let's hear from Ben Pro.
I wonder who he faces in the Widnes dugout tonight. Bill is Phil McKenzie, a loyal servant to the club in the 80s. I was talking to him earlier. He said that the 1989 World Club Challenge win against Canberra Raiders was one of the highlights of his career. His association as a physio ends with the club tonight.
Well, they'll be hoping to sign off with a win for Phil McKenzie then. Long way to go. Widnes trail by 6 points to 0 at the moment, but Celtic coming again with Lennon. Lennon finds Duggan. Dalcourt has the strength. Has he got the distance? I don't think he has. Oh no, another one for the video ref, says Thierry Alibert. Did he get it down?
We've only had one very quick look at it. I don't think it's a try. I don't think he quite made the line.
I was just going to say, I think he's short, mate.
I wasn't as confident this time that the ball hit the ground. Hardman does a good job. He tries to get the legs in it. Initially held it up.
He's short there where it's grounded. It does ground, but I think he's short at that point.
Well, first, is that on Hardman's leg at that point?
Yes. There.
No, then was the line? Has he hit the line? Not quite, I don't think. I don't think he's made it. Great example, though, of how Celtic are so good at moving the ball wide, and with the big, powerful centres on either side of the field. Pressure over. Gaskell tries his best, as does Tyra and Hardman. He takes 3 men to the line. And from that angle, can you work out whether he's made it?
Not sure. He's having another look at it, Phil. I'm with you, me. I'm really impressed with the width that they're using the ball and exposing and trying to exploit those fringe plays that Widnes have got.
I know we're supposed to give the benefit of the doubt to the attacking player, but I'm not sure there's enough evidence here to convict him.
Well, what's the decision from referee? Video referee Tennis. It's another try. Thierry Alibert gets the word in the ear, and Mark Dalcourt has that try awarded, and that's hard luck on those Widnes defenders who did all they could to stop him grounding that ball, but tries in all games against Widnes now this season for Mark Dalcourt.
And back-to-back tries in this match, which is significant. Of course, the penalty got them into this half of the field, but that is, in these conditions, wonderful passing, wonderful timing, and then a clinical finish from big Mark Dalcourt.
Mark Lennon with this conversion opportunity way out wide, and he's missed with that one, I think, wide of the target. But Celtic Crusaders ahead by 10 points to 0 here at Brewery Field against the Widnes Vikings, and in the murk, John Dixon looking presumably pretty satisfied after the shaky start from his team.
The worrying thing, if you're supporting Widnes tonight, is twice the Celtic Crusaders have been down and twice they've come away with points. All that pressure in the opening 7 or 8 minutes that Widnes had affected to nothing. So Dalcourt is the latest exponent of again, great power, great determination. They're showing enough in the early signs to know that it's going to be a hard day's work for Widnes.
And Celtic were a bit apprehensive about this game beforehand, knowing that Widnes would be on a high, and with significant absentees, with of course Jace van Dijk still out, back home in Australia in actual fact, recuperating from that broken jaw. Terry Martin, Gareth Dean, Darren Mapp, they're all absent, as is Josh Hannay, who dislocated his big toe against Dewsbury last week, and it wasn't a pretty sight apparently, as Lennon puts the kick in downfield, and Hardman, he's learnt well from one of the best in the world, or arguably the best in the world, Paul Wellens of St Helens. Is Gaskell, stuttering run from the winger across the field, and those 2 tries just seem to have knocked Widnes back a little bit. They were very confident early doors, but they've got a penalty now.
And a penalty that they needed at that point in time, didn't they? John Duffy carrying the ball to try and make yardage. It's a little unusual to see him at that stage. I don't know whether he was hoping to take some pressure off Bezic, but they need 1 or 2 of the white jerseys to start putting the hands up now and running again with some aggression.
Almost up to the halfway line, and Fletcher thunders that one in. Tackle on the 40-metre line. Damien Quinn leading the way for his side there. Morrison, Matty Smith. Patterson had a strong game against Salford last weekend, returned to playing in this country, having had a spell playing for Carpentras in the French competition. Lee Patterson, as he plays that ball. Gannon, Morrison gets ball and man at the same time, but manages to offload well. This is promising. This was promising. Tyra furious with himself. Oh, it's a fickle game, rugby league, isn't it? The hero last week, and Stephen Tyra, a couple of errors already tonight.
It was almost too easy for him to take this ball, didn't he? He had too much time, too much space. Put him under pressure and ask him to come up with a miracle catch, and he can find it. but they knew, and the frustration is evident with his reaction to it. The first time on the back of a couple of offloads and then shifting the ball that he and his teammates look to threaten this Celtic side.
Now Widnes will be looking to pin Celtic down deep in their own half here, as Dyer gets to his feet to play the ball. Oh, big hit! Aled James felt that one. Aled James felt that. And Gannon gets pats all round from his teammates, but Aled James, credit to the young Welshman, has kept a hold of that ball.
Well, you'd like to see if Gannon was onside, because he hit him as soon as he caught possession.
That is an absolute bell ringer, that.
Is it a fair bell ringer?
I think so. I think he was at the side of Thierry Albert, told him he was going, shoulder charge, bang! That's what lifts your teammates, and I think Widnes needed that. Few players looking round, but as you say, Aled James getting up.
Chris Beasley, in fact.
Chris Beasley, yeah. Chris Beasley getting up. Just put his thumb up there and said, "You got me."
You might have to have a word with Mark Delcourt and say, the next time you go to dummy half, either pass it straight away or run like you do when you run when you mean it, because that delayed pass doesn't really suit me. It's not my favourite play.
To be fair, I think Jim Gannon gave Ian Morrison one in the play before. So, hey, great shot that. Love to see shots like that, and you're going to see them more and more in a game.
Jordan James just having a quick word with Jim Gannon, probably admiring his technique. So that's given Widnes great... Oh, and Hardman almost went without it. It was James with the tackle, very nearly dislodging the ball. Widnes, great opportunity. Patterson. And they're offside of the Celtic Crusaders. So, once again, Widnes with perfect position. And they're back on their own try line. Well, they should be, says Thierry Alibert. Oh, well, it was Morrison expecting that one. Bezic turned and gave him the ball, and Morrison just put it down.
I think he'd given up on the play, hadn't he? Once he went past Bezic, and Bezic seemed to run in the opposite direction, he clocked off. And that's probably the only difference between these two sides. When Widnes have been close to Celtic's line, they haven't been able to find a way over it.
That's Aled James. That was good work from the Welsh centre as well. He's captain of the Crusaders Colts side, Aled James, and comes into the team because of the injury to Josh Hannay. Aaron Summers getting some of it from his former colleagues there. Just hotting up a little bit. Beasley, fair play to him. He's keen for more despite the hammering he took last time. On the halfway line. And the kick deep between Gavin Dodd and Hardman. It's Dodd who goes for it. Good chase from Celtic.
You could perhaps criticise Widnes for a semi-lethargic opening quarter. They travelled down to South Wales yesterday, they've hung around a hotel all day, but I think now in the last 5 minutes or so, they've really started to up their aggression. Their intensity level has lifted now, and they're going to make this a competition.
I thought the back three were outstanding for Widnes last week. Hardman, Gaskell and Dodd really did the groundwork as they dropped the ball in their own quarter, and it's a knock-on from Jim Gannon.
Well, 1 minute he's getting the pats on the back from his teammates, and the next minute they're looking at him and thinking, what have you done?
A reception committee from Celtic Crusaders waiting for Jim Gannon.
It's one of those nights. And Celtic have the ball back with Damien Quinn. The top point scorer for the club in 2006 and 2007, Quinn. And Celtic with Quinn, those flashy blue boots. Duggan, never mind the rain, he's always willing to have a go, Tony Duggan, but nowhere for him to go that time. Patterson and Noon with the defending. Celtic then about 15 metres out as Luke Dyer plays the ball, and now it's with Jordan James, and James doing a little pirouette, and that's the fifth tackle. Protest to the referee that he wasn't allowed to play the ball. Quinn with ages to seize his spot for that kick, and Gaskell gets a hand to it, and it goes into touch.
You're spot on, Bill. He had loads of time to get that kick away. He could pick where and when he wanted to kick it, making it really difficult for Dean Gaskell on the wing.
I thought Gaskell had got a touch to that, but no. It's Widnes who restart from the 20. Patterson plays the ball. Ben Kavanagh on the field for his new club. Well, he was on loan, but they've now made the signing a full one. And here's Danny Hill brought into the Widnes lineup because of the absence of Adel Felous. Fletcher, Tyra trying to get the pass away, and it went forward, says the referee.
But who did it go forward off? He actually said the pass there from, is it a knock-on? A pass from Stephen Tyra to Dean Gaskell.
So once again, Widnes squandering possession. Thierry Alibert has a nice line in hand signals. He's Ganson-esque in his hand signalling. Just a little moment of teasing for the onlooking public. Which way is he going to give this one? And then a little sign to whose head and feed it is. And it's Celtic Crusaders with head and feed. Dalcourt shown up well for the Crusaders tonight. Aaron Summers popping up in support. Wearing 12 tonight, operating in a second row role. And the rain still hammering down. Quinn, Neil Wyatt on the field and into the action. Wyatt back from injury. And there's Budworth. Quinn, oh, what hands, what defence, what a hit that was from Danny Hill.
He's turned over the ball in addition to stopping Duggan, sending him backwards. He's won possession for his team, and do you know, Widnes have, since conceding that second try, had a real strong look at themselves. A couple of substitutes have come on, even the ones on the field decided to up the level, and here goes Gaskell through the first two.
Gaskell's got Hardman in support, but loses possession. Oh, and it's snaffled by Aled James, I think it is. Oh, and another opportunity goes begging for Widnes Vikings. Here's Tangata Toa, the coach is ringing the changes.
There are going to be mistakes on days like this, but it's how you react. The Widnes players looking around, waving their arms about. Just get on with the game, Widnes players. It's a good break in the middle there from Dean Gaskell. Drop the ball.
Budworth. Tackled on the halfway line. Beasley. Mark Dalcourt. Despite those tacklers, Dalcourt keeps a hold of the ball. Oh, and there's some big hits going in there. Ben Flower, that was, taking that ball up, his first touch. Little chip kick. Duggan will chase it. Oh, and Hardman did well there, but there was a knock on.
Surely it should have been a penalty, though, to the Widnes side, because Duggan pushed one of the Widnes players in the back before he had a chance to take possession. I think it's Fletcher.
No, I think you're being a bit harsh there.
Well, if you watch it again from this angle, keep your eyes on the number 1. There was the ball's coming down, just pushes Noon, the number 12, out of the way.
Well, it's Celtic who'll get head and feed, I think.
Certainly makes contact with him. Might not push him that hard, but...
Well, there is Tony Duggan. Was alert to that kick from Damien Quinn, which has put Celtic Crusaders in this position. 26 minutes on the clock. They're ahead by 10 points to nil. Here's Ben Flower, another Welsh player in this side. Cardiff-born Flower, who's shown up really well in this Crusaders Colt side that is sweeping all before them. Lennon, right in front of those posts. Budworth, Quinn looping pass, and Dalcourt wasn't going to be able to take that one.
Well, they've set themselves up very well, the Crusaders. Several options for Quinn with the long ball, and he tried to put it in front of Dalcourt to entice him to run on the angle and get outside of his opposing centre, luring in Gaskell, the number 2 in your screen. But in these conditions it's difficult, and the passing accuracy failed to deliver that opportunity.
So Widnes Vikings in possession with Stephen Tyra deep in their own half, and they get the penalty. Interference, a hand in, says Thierry Alibert. So that's a relieving penalty for this Widnes side. They are playing into this rain and the wind blowing down the Brewery Field pitch into their faces. And Fletcher looking weary already. Takes the tackle. Bezic. Here is Danny Hill. Well, he's announced his presence already with that great tackle. Plays the ball on the 40 metres. Ben Kavanagh driven back in the tackle. Bezic again. Duffy shaped to kick, then tried to put the step on them. But Budworth saw that one coming, makes the tackle. 4 tackles gone. Matty Smith will kick into the corner. Nice one just into the space behind Duggan and Ballard, and it's Duggan who picks it up. And Fletcher went in for a big shot there and has come off second best, Richard Fletcher. That's him down on his haunches in back play. And I think he got clouted by his own teammate.
Starting to see far greater emphasis now put into the defence from both teams. It's hard to make ground. Fletcher hurting the tackle with Duffy. And look, 5-metre gains are massive ones at this stage.
And the signal going as this play continues, the signal from the pitch to the bench is that Fletcher can't continue, but Celtic Crusaders can continue with Aled James. James didn't have anybody in support, took the tackle from Hardman, but they've got opportunities here now of Celtic. Lennon, little dummy from Lennon, gets the ball back to Budworth. Budworth, they're in the corner. And it's Aled James who'll get the try. He started it. And Aled James finishes it. Well, that was enterprising play from this Celtic Crusaders side. And especially in these conditions. And Aled James, a former Widnes player himself, back in the starting lineup tonight on the score sheet with a fine try for the Crusaders.
Well, the Crusaders have made a name for themselves for long range and spectacular tries. Once through the line here, Aled James is just hoping and looking for some support. He can't get around Hardman, who does a good job to hold him up. Okay, it's momentary relief because there aren't enough of the white jerseys back here to help out. And as Lennon goes to ground, he keeps it alive, back to Budworth. He's falling down, on to Quinn, and eventually back to the man who started it all with that fantastic 50-metre break. Wonderful example of what the Celtic Crusaders do so well.
Mark Lennon with another tricky conversion from way out wide again, virtually on the touchline, and false start. Aled James getting his first try of the season then. Once a Cardiff Demon, spent time at Widnes and at Sheffield Eagles as well, has been playing rugby union for Bedwas and Newport Gwent Dragons during the winter, but back with the Crusaders, and they're glad to have him back after that. Lennon then with this conversion, that one looks good. Bang on target, just have the legs. And Mark Lennon has put Celtic Crusaders 16-0 up here at Brewery Field.
John Dixon will be so pleased with his players. The amount of times that it looks like the play is dead, and just as the player is going to ground, he hears a call over his shoulder and passes it. And it's all good stuff, it's all good reactionary stuff. Just as he thinks he's going to ground, it's gone. Budworth again, there it is. Beautiful play.
Half an hour gone then, and Celtic Crusaders lead by 16 points to 0 against the Widnes Vikings, having been, certainly in the opening 10 minutes, under a bit of pressure, and probably the few times they've been down that end of the field, they've taken their chances.
Well, it feels as though they've had 3 chances to score. In truth, it feels as though they probably had 2 chances to score, and yet come up with 3 scores. And that's, I suppose, a reflection of the class that they've shown in the opening half an hour. Here's now some power on the back of it. You're right, the 16 who's come on, Ben Flower, has looked strong and powerful. Man has just lost possession for his team here. His carries are aggressive. Breaks through the line, tries to offload it back to Budworth. The referee said no, a knock-on from the Crusaders. Widnes are relieved to get the ball, the hands on the ball on the halfway line. Oh no.
And hang on, touch judge is on. And suggesting that it should be Celtic's head and feed. Now then, how does he get that?
Well, I'm not sure, and I don't know if I've ever seen this happen before.
Well, does Gannon get a hand to it? Is it Gannon's hand before Budworth?
But
And
is Gannon facing his own sticks?
I think it was Gannon, and it did go forward.
Gannon's facing his own post.
Yeah, but the ball goes forward. He's on the halfway line. The ball's gone beyond the halfway line. Well, ours not to reason why. The touch judge saw that one, and Celtic, much to the amazement of the small band of Widnes supporters who've made the journey, get the head and feet at the scrum and now find themselves in another good position. David Tangata-Toa plays the ball. Duggan, Dalcourt puts the kick in. Hardman does well there. Hardman was under pressure from Ballard and really did well to tidy that one up, the fullback.
And that's twice in this game we've seen the ball shifted to the centre, who then draws up the defensive line and slides that kick in behind. They've done it once on the right, eventually scored shortly after it. Here again on the left, great save by Hardman on his try line. But kick goes in, ricochets off, bouncing awkwardly, and that's a safe and very brave attempt at keeping the ball in play for his team.
But Hardman's paid for it. I think he's down on his haunches in back play at the moment. He's having a bit of treatment, Ian Hardman, former Saints and Hull KR man. Could be an ankle problem. Matty Smith, I think, hoping for a 40-20, was he?
And you need to be very good on your chase, because if you kick the ball to the centre of the field and Tony Duggan gets it, you need some teammates. Well, there's Danny Hillen with a big hit, but it's a dangerous play to kick it to him without a middle strong chase.
He's been really impressive, Danny Hill, since he come on. He was left out the side last week. Adel Falousi's on international duty, and that gives us his opening. That's what Steve McCormack would want from his players. Players that come in, bring a positive influence into the squad.
There's Ben Flower taking the ball up, Cardiff born. And there is Danny Hill. Just looking for some consistent game time, I think, Danny Hill. He's been on the road a bit. Hull, Wigan, loaned back to Hull KR last year. Now it's Widnes as Lennon puts the kick in. It's a good one. And Gavin Dodds, well, he's going to have to bring that one back. And he's going to do well to get out of there. Oh, we saw this at Batley now then, and we've seen it again here. Dodds pass, no, says the referee. That's going to be a goal line dropout.
Oh, he got off lightly there, Gavin Dodd. Just check. He's in a bit of trouble here. Takes his time regathering the ball, decides to offload it. Ian Hardman, well.
Yeah, just.
Tell you what, he's a relieved man, isn't he?
Very relieved, yeah.
Oh, Aled James could very well claim a try there, you know.
Well, the referee's made a decision without looking at that, but oh,
dearie me.
He could very easily have seen that awarded as another try. At the moment, just 16 points behind, Widnes still alive.
We've had 2 tries where the grounding was in dispute, and he had no hesitation about going to the video ref. So you wonder why that one wasn't worth having a look at. Well, it wasn't, but from the dropout, Celtic Crusaders have it back. But the penalty goes against Widnes, and will Mark Lennon go for 2 points, bang in front of the posts? He is, I think.
He's been at both sets of players all game. All you can hear him say is 2 feet, 2 feet. He's pulled Widnes for offside.
Well, here we're going to get a chance just to look at this again. Aled James comes over, he dives. Whose arms hit it first? Well, it's either the one arm from Ian Hardman, the left arm, or one of the two that James threw down.
Let off for Gavin Dodd, though, that was. That had a... I saw Peter Green's try for Doncaster against Batley in that Northern Rail semi-final when Bolo Fagborin threw that pass. Well, it results, that little spate of action, in a penalty bang in front of the post for the Celtic Crusaders, and Mark Lennon should land this one. 2 more points for the Crusaders. They'll feel they should have had 4, possibly 6, but 2 it is. They lead by 18 points to 0.
Celtic Crusaders are so dominant when they get down the right area of the field, they're really causing the Widnes players some problems.
Just going back to that incident in goal, Bill, you actually look at the rule book. If 2 players, an attacking player and a defending player, touch down simultaneously at the same time, the try is awarded. The benefit of doubt is given to the attacking player. As it is, the referee has decided it was a goal line dropout, and Widnes perhaps have got off with it lightly.
Well, they trail 18-0. Mind you, they trailed against Salford last week 16-4 and got themselves out of a hole with a fantastic late rally. So this side has what it takes. They just need the ball at the moment. Up to 6th place in the table now, the Vikings, having been 9th, and of course they had that points deduction at the start of the season. The ball went backwards, says the referee. Celtic keep it alive with Luke Dyer, the Welsh international, once of Hull Kingston Rovers, and Dyer, with a little somersault at the end, makes good ground. Duggan gets to his feet, plays the ball. Lennon, again a good kick. This time Gavin Dodd's having nothing to do with that one. And Celtic have got them where they want them, penned in their own half.
No, not only that, I think they'll know the Celtic side can sense blood here. Just a few minutes to go to half-time. They're going to really work hard here, aggressively in defence to try and force a mistake. 3 scores in rugby league gives a team a chance, a bit of hope to come back. 4, and it becomes almost impossible.
So Celtic looking to put the pressure on. Beasley with the big tackle. And now Gavin Dodd trying to go round the outside. Ballard having none of that. Dalcourt neither. Tyra coming back in field. 3 tackles gone. Duffy, Gannon. Gannon well tackled. Celtic could be penalised there, they are. Took an age to get to their feet. 3 big guys on top of Jim Gannon, they were never going to move that quickly. And Wyatt just went back on top for good measure.
Well, Widnes got the ability here now to strike. They've kicked the ball to touch against the wind, against the rain. They're just on over the halfway line.
Coming up to the final minute of this first half here at Brewery Field, and that's a wild pass, but Hardman came off his shins. Play on, says Thierry Alibert. Gaskell, typical scampering run from the winger. This is a maybe final opportunity in this first half for Widnes to get some points on the board, and Bezic doing well, Gannon doing well to take the pass. Great pass out wide. They've got the options out wide here. Oh, they've gone without it. They had 3-on-1 over there, and they blew it.
They have 3-on-1 though, with a sliding defence coming across. Christine, I think, knocked on, couldn't take possession here. See the rain. The ball from Noonan into his arms goes forward before Anthony Black was even involved in the tackle.
So that's another let-off. How many of those have there been for Celtic? How many opportunities have Widnes had?
Well, the way I see it, it's been fantastic goal line defence. The Welsh side have really been organised, structured, controlled and determined. Whenever the Widnes side get down there, they shall not pass.
Final few seconds of this first half. The rain, as it has been from the first whistle, still hammering down. And the whistle blows for the end of the first 40 minutes. Mark Dalcourt looking a bit bedraggled, as do the other players out there leaving the field. And Celtic, having been under pressure early on, John Dixon has seen them come back strongly with 3 tries to put them in commanding position at half-time. They are ahead against the Widnes Vikings by 18 points to 0.